In this episode, we go through the Yamaha's brake system, take all pieces apart, and clean them thoroughly. Then we reassemble and reinstall the brakes on the bike and bleed both brakes. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's been a while since I posted any videos. Almost over 6 months, I think. The last video I put on was for the Yamaha build that I started working on. I hope life has been treating you guys well. My life has been super busy. I got pretty busy with my job. I have a full-time job, which is very stressful and time-consuming. But that didn't keep me from working on bikes. I've been actually working on that bike. I finished a Yamaha build, and also I bought another bike, which I almost finished that one as well. And I have been filming the process and also posting my videos on another channel. I have another channel which is not in English. Since last year I've been posting weekly on that channel. If anyone here is interested or knows Farsi, can go to my other channel. The channel name is Motorcycle Fun. But back to the topic of this video. I finally found time to go back and edit my videos for this channel. What you're gonna see here in this channel will be less detailed, more summarized videos of my builds, since I don't want to bore you guys to explain that. We don't have too many detailed motorcycle channels in Farsi. That's why my videos on the other channel are more detailed. In here, you guys have a lot of videos about any bike, and I just don't want to bore you guys. Most of the videos in the next couple of months are going to be me explaining what I'm going to do and voice over the films that I got and let you see the progress of the work. If you have seen my last video, you know that I bought a 1996 Yamaha YZF600, or if you're in the UK, you guys call it FZR600R, and it wasn't running. I got it running in the last couple of videos, I guess. In this video, we'll be working on the brakes. Both front and rear brakes are completely seized solid and none of them work. And there's a lot of work to be done on the calipers, master cylinders, and the brake lines. So tune in, sit down, and enjoy the process. All right, before starting the work, I just wanted to show you what we're dealing with. As you can see, the front brake is completely seized up. It doesn't work at all. The reservoir still shows some liquid inside of it, so thankfully it's not completely dried out. As you know, the brake fluid has the tendency to dry out if it sits long enough. So that's a good news. Then we come down here to the calipers. If I take the cover out, you'll see the brake pads actually look kind of brand new. They're not used at all. It seems like right before the bike was put in storage, the brake pads were replaced. So that's good news. So now we're gonna go through the calipers, open them up. We have to take the pads out, take the pistons out as well, and we have to clean everything up, make sure all the seals are good, and if not, we have to replace them. So first, we take out the calipers to see how they look like from the inside. Just like I said, the brake pistons are completely seized up, and I'm using a screwdriver to kind of free them up. The caliper comes out, and now we can see actually inside. So we have to take out the pins. There are two springy plates that hold the pads in place. Take those out, and we can take the pads out as well. Here you can see the pistons. This caliper has 4 pistons, 2 on each side. Now we have to attempt to actually take these pistons out, which is not going to be an easy job. We're using the actual brake itself to take out the pistons. All right, I was able to push out the pistons by using the brake lever on the bike. There was still some brake fluids inside and some pressure, so I used that pressure to push out the pistons on this one and the other one as well. Now we have to disconnect the line, empty the fluid so we don't make a mess down there, and take the calipers apart. Alright, I just took apart this caliper. I was able to pull one of the pistons out, and this is how they set up. You see, this is a 2-piece caliper, has 2 pistons on each side. And there are seals inside, like rubber seals that hold the fluid, and that's how the pressure is built up. Now we have to pull out all these pistons. Then definitely we need to do some cleanups and possibly replace the seals. We're gonna have to see how the seals look like. If we need to, we have to actually replace those as well. If not, they might be reusable, depending on the condition. We'll see how it comes out. And this is what the caliper looks like after removing the pistons. You can see some buildup of the dried fluids in a couple of these. Okay, I just wanted to show you how these look like. Both calipers are completely taken apart. I pulled out all pistons. I haven't pulled out all the seals yet, but I'm gonna clean those out and pull them out. But we're gonna have to go through, clean all of them completely. For cleaning the pistons and caliper, I'm gonna be using this brake cleaner and making sure all corners and all cavities are completely clean of the old fluid. I just pulled out the rear caliper as well. It wasn't as easy as the front one. The reason being the fluid was dried out and there was no fluid in it, so I couldn't really use the pressure of the brake itself to pump the pistons out. For that reason, I had to separate the caliper from the lines and break it apart and then pull out the pistons by hand using some pliers and stuff. Of course, I was careful not to scratch the surface of the pistons. And here, all 3 calipers are completely taken apart and cleaned up. I cleaned everything as best as I could. all pistons, calipers themselves, pins, and all springs and everything. For that, I use these 3 different brushes: plastic, brass or bronze, and also steel. I tried not to use this steel brush on the pistons. As you know, definitely, you don't want to scratch the surface of this steel. They need to be as smooth as possible. So everything is super clean now, and they can sit inside the cavities as they should. I checked out all the seals. Everything is intact, so thankfully no seal replacement was needed. So I cleaned them up and put them back where they belong. Now it's time to reassemble everything and then install the calipers on the bike. And here you can see the caliper after cleaning and installation. I think it's worth to explain that for later uses, if I need to replace the pads, I don't need to take out the caliper itself. On this bike, this particular type of caliper is easy. You just pull out the pins and you can pull the pads from the backside and replace them. As easy as that. And now it's time to torque all the bolts. Obviously, I'm using the torque specs from the owner's manual. Now we repeat everything for the rear brake. Alright, it's time to reconnect the brake lines. I actually went through and cleared up all the hoses, made sure everything is completely opened up, and also checked and double checked all the banjo bolts, and a couple of them needed to be cleaned up. I used brake cleaner and a little wire to clean up inside the banjo bolt, but they all cleaned up pretty good. I replaced the crush washers, so all of these crush washers are actually brand new, so I can make sure everything is going to be sealed. Now I'm going to put the bolts back in and tighten per spec. Now that all the hoses are back in place, everything is tightened, I filled out the system with brake fluid, and I'm going to bleed the brakes to make sure all the air is out and it's all fluid and ready to use. For the bleeding, I'm using this little tool that I bought off Amazon. Pretty cheap actually, but it's very useful. It has this little wrench on it that is exactly the size of the bleeder screw and has a tank on it, so all the extra fluid goes inside the tank. I don't think I need to explain the bleeding process, but in summary, I'm gonna pump the brake, hold it, open up the wrench so the air and some of the fluid goes out, then close the wrench and let the brake go. And this is going to be continued until I don't see any air bubbles coming out of that hose. All right, I'm done with bleeding the system. As you can see, the brakes are actually working flawlessly. This brake actually is super stiff. I'm pretty happy with the result. No problem, no leaks, and there is definitely no air in the brakes. I actually did the same thing for the rear brake. I didn't film it, but it was very simple. I filled out the reservoir and just the same thing. I pumped the brake and bled the system using the bleeder screws. There are 2 of them on this brake. So I was able to bleed the system, and again, the result was pretty good. All right, guys, that was a lot of work, but we finally were able to fix both rear and front brakes, and right now brakes are working flawlessly. Actually, brakes on this bike is probably better than my other bikes right now. It doesn't have ABS, but the brakes are pretty stiff, and I'm happy with the result. I hope you guys enjoyed it and hopefully take something from this video for your own builds. At the end, thanks for watching, and if you like the video, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel so I can be encouraged to do more work and make better videos. See you guys in the next video.